I am Frank Muramazi. I'm from Uganda, from the organization called National Association of Professional Environmentalists, NAPE, and I have come here to Europe in Brussels to file a complaint against EIB because they are funding a dam project in Uganda, the Bujagali Dam, which is having a lot of impacts on the communities, on the people of Uganda. And this is against the policies of the EIB. And we want them to do something because it is against the development objective of the EIB, first of all. But secondly, it does not achieve the energy needs. It does not meet the energy needs of Uganda. It is going to be so expensive when the dam is finished. And thirdly, the project is having a lot of impact, negative impact on the environment. And then the fourth one is that the project is going to affect many people. They are not adequately compensated, especially the cultural people, Bujagali, those who have been using the falls, the Bujagali falls, since time immemorial. They have not been compensated, they have not been consulted. So we think the EIB must do something. This dam Bujagali, this project, is supposed, according to government and the EIB, supposed to produce 250 megawatts. But from the studies, the technical studies, this is impossible. It cannot produce 250 megawatts because the water will not be enough. Because when they were doing the studies, they did not take into account the climate aspects. They did not envisage that the global warming and the degradation of the forest and the wetlands along the lake and the river will not permit enough water for this dam to produce the 250 megawatts. The studies have it that it can only at most produce 162 megawatts, but at worst it can even produce less than that. You are talking of less than 100 megawatts, and there you are spending close to $1 billion US, and that will be a loss for Uganda, for the people of Uganda. And the second, worse still, is that this dam, when it is completed, the tariffs, the final person will be paying 25 US cents per kilowatt hour, and that is so expensive. Now Ugandan will use this, which means this dam will produce electricity if at all it produces, and it will not be afforded by Ugandans. And we think this is a wastage of people's money. As Ugandans, we are borrowing this money, and that is a wastage. But also we sympathize with the taxpayers, the European taxpayers. They are giving us money for nothing. So we are really concerned. The EIB did not do the due diligence because they thought the World Bank and African Development Bank had done the due diligence. But when we filed a complaint to the inspection panel of the World Bank and the compliance mechanism of the African Development Bank, both mechanisms came out and said that, yes, we were right. About 80% of the issues we were raising indicated that the banks did not do a proper due diligence. And yet the banks, the World Bank and African Development Development Bank went ahead and funded this project. And the EIB followed that process, also funded a fraud kind of project. So that's why we are concerned. Why did they depend on the shadow work done by the World Bank and African Development Bank when those banks themselves have agreed, according to their own internal mechanisms, that they didn't do a proper work? So that's why we are filing this claim to the EIB themselves. They should have done this, and it is upon them to address these issues within their own mechanisms. Of course, we are saying that this dam is not needed in its present form. They can change the design, reduce on the size, and therefore reduce on the amount of money the country is going to spend. And the rest of the other money should go to cater for alternative energy sources. We have energy alternative sources which are available, which were not properly assessed. For example, solar energy. We have geothermal. We have studied potential of 450 megawatts in western part of the country. We have wind energy. We have energy stoves, which could be energy savings. Actually, over 90% of Uganda's population use fuel. So part of the money should go to this energy saving stoves because that's what the majority of the Ugandans use. And we're also saying that if over 90% of the people use fuel, and in this era of climate change, you are not replenishing the forests, then you have a problem if you are not addressing that issue. So this project is not going to produce energy that is going to be used by the people. People will still cut the trees, will still use charcoal. So if we cannot get cheap energy, then this will be a very wrong deal for this country. It would be great for me, and I would tell him to stop the funding so far and compensate the people who have been affected by this dam adequately. Second, I would also tell him to look at the energy options, spend some of the money that is remaining to cater for energy options. And thirdly, I would tell him to halt the project and do proper evaluation of the options and also of the studies to look at the environment impacts. To me, that's what I would tell him.